Hello, everyone. I'm Dawn Duran, Acting Director of the Office of Sex Offender Sentencing, Monitoring, Apprehending, Registering, and Tracking, the SMART Office. Welcome to this webinar, which will provide guidance for potential applicants to the fiscal year 2020 Adam Walsh Act Implementation Grant Program solicitation. As you may know, the Adam Walsh Act was enacted in 2006. Title I of the Act laid out the requirements of the Sex Offender Registration and Notification Act, or SORNA. We now have 18 implemented states, 4 territories, and 135 tribes, with many of the remaining jurisdictions actively working towards implementation. As we continue to implement SORNA, we are also moving toward maintaining SORNA requirements and best practices, as well as incorporating newer requirements, such as the 21-day international travel notification requirement codified by International Megan's Law. We hope your jurisdiction will use these AWA funds to increase and improve the maintenance and sustainability of your program, as well as to enhance training and support of local, regional, and tribal efforts within your jurisdictions. Training staff in your state, territory, or tribe is vital to information sharing and continued success of implemented sex offender registration and notification systems. This year, the Adam Walsh Act solicitation has 2 purpose areas. In addition to Purpose Area 1, which is open to the SORNA jurisdictions, Purpose Area 2 is open to counties located in implemented states. At this time, I will turn the webinar over to Keisha Green, Grants Management Specialist, and Stephanie Carrig, Senior Policy Advisor, for specific guidance on the FY20 Adam Walsh Act Implementation Grant Program.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Carrig.
And this is Keisha Green.
In this webinar, we will address the requirements of the Adam Walsh Act, or AWA, particularly Title I of the Adam Walsh Act, which is the Sex Offender Registration and Notification Act, or SORNA. We will discuss eligibility to apply for the AWA Implementation Grant, information about the award and its timeline, and the goals, objectives, and deliverables of the Adam Walsh Act Implementation Grant Program. We will also discuss the process of preparing an application for the grant. The SMART Office, through the AWA Implementation Grant and other activities, assists jurisdictions with developing and enhancing programs designed to implement the requirements of SORNA. SORNA sets forth a comprehensive set of standards for the registration and notification of convicted sex offenders. It revised prior federal laws on sex offender registration and notification and, in so doing, closed gaps and loopholes that existed under those laws. Under SORNA, jurisdictions are required to maintain a sex offender registration and notification system that captures each registerable offender who resides, works, or attends school in the jurisdiction. SORNA went beyond prior federal laws by expanding the number of sex offenses that must be captured by registration jurisdictions. And perhaps most importantly, SORNA expanded the definition of jurisdiction to include federally recognized Indian tribes, of whom most have elected to stand up their own registration and notification systems. The goals, objectives, and deliverables of the AWA Implementation Grant center around achieving substantial implementation of SORNA, maintaining and enhancing SORNA implementation, and sustaining a SORNA-compliant registration and notification system.
In the next few slides, we will specifically discuss Purpose Area 1, maintaining and enhancing SORNA's substantial implementation in states, territories, and tribal jurisdictions. Each award will be up to $400,000 for a period of up to 36 months. The awards will begin on October 1 of this year, and awardees will be notified by no later than September 30. Please make note of the application due date of March 24th of this year. Eligible applicants for Purpose Area 1 include states, the District of Columbia, principal U.S. territories, and eligible federally recognized Indian tribes. Jurisdictions that have not previously received funding under this program are strongly encouraged to apply.
The SORNA activities and strategies that the AWA grant could be used to develop or enhance are the items listed here. If you have any questions about possible strategies and activities during the application process, please contact our office. For states that have SORNA tribal jurisdictions, the state may apply for funding to enhance their collaboration with those jurisdictions. For example, the state may apply to support its efforts to provide the tribes with access to NCIC NSOAR. In addition, to the extent that the state is carrying out the registration and notification functions for a tribe, regardless of whether that tribe is a SORNA tribal jurisdiction, the state may apply for funding to support those activities. An application to fund a collaborative approach or project must include supporting documentation, such as an interagency agreement, a memorandum of understanding, or a letter of cooperation that demonstrates the collaborative endeavor from each member SORNA jurisdiction involved in the collaboration. Likewise, to the extent that the state is carrying out the registration and notification functions for a tribe, the state should include a letter of support or cooperation and/or a MOU that indicates that the local jurisdiction or tribe is in agreement with and supportive of the proposed activities.
The next few slides will focus on Purpose Area 2, Support for SORNA Implementation Activities in Counties. Awards made under Purpose Area 2 will be up to $150,000 for a period of 36 months. These awards will start October 1 of this year, and awardees will be notified by no later than September 30. Please note the application due date of March 24th of this year. Eligible applicants for Purpose Area 2 are counties that are located within states that have substantially implemented SORNA. If you have questions about your eligibility, please see the SMART website. County applicants will need to provide a letter of support from the state registering agency confirming that the proposed county-level efforts will not be duplicative of or conflict with any ongoing SORNA activities at the state level. Please note that the letter of support from the state registering agency is required documentation in your application package.
The SORNA activities and strategies that the AWA grant could be used to develop or enhance are the items listed here. If you have any questions about possible strategies and activities during the application process, please contact our office.
Next, we'll talk about preparing an application. As we walk through the elements of an application package, we'll explain how each section will be evaluated or weighted by peer reviewers. Remember, the individuals evaluating your jurisdiction's application may not know much about your jurisdiction and will only get the information about your need, the importance of the project, and how likely the project is to succeed based on the information that you clearly provide in the application. The next few slides will discuss the review criteria. The following sections should be included as a part of the program narrative. The description of the issue is worth 20% of the overall score of the application. Please be sure to clearly state how the proposed activities are responsive to any unmet implementation requirements identified in the jurisdiction's most recent SORNA substantial implementation review, if there is one. In plain language, be sure to discuss the jurisdiction status as is related to substantial implementation of SORNA. Applicants should also provide current data on the number of offenders in the jurisdiction. The project design and implementation is worth 30% of the overall score. This section is very important as it should emphasize how the proposed project will move the jurisdiction closer to substantial implementation of SORNA or enhance ongoing SORNA compliance to help sustain the jurisdiction's SORNA program. Specifically, identify each SORNA requirement that will be implemented or enhanced as a result of this project. Applicants must clearly describe its goals and objectives. The capabilities and competency statement is worth 25% of the overall score. In this section, you will describe the management structure and staffing of the project, defining the roles and responsibilities of key organizational or functional components and personnel. You should discuss the relationship with the lead sex offender registration office in the jurisdiction and describe the experience and capacity of both the subject matter experts working on the project as well as the grant management staff that will help administer the grant. When staff members are known, please provide their resumes with the application. If these positions are new or not yet filled, the applicant can provide position descriptions. Next is the plan to collect the required data. This is worth 5% of the overall score. The applicant should review the performance measures outlined in the solicitation and establish a plan to incorporate data collection in project activities. The awardee is responsible for collecting and reporting on this information at least twice a year. The budget detail worksheet and narrative is worth 10% of the overall score. Most importantly, there is no match requirement for the AWA program. When applicants are preparing their budgets, they are urged to use the budget forms that are provided by OJP. This will ensure that the budget aligns with OJP budget categories and that the budget costs are broken out by year. Items included in the budget should easily correspond with the proposed goals, objectives, and deliverables of your application, and the cost should be necessary and reasonable for SORNA projects, activities, and maximize cost effectiveness. If you're including indirect costs in the budget, please be sure to attach an unexpired indirect cost rate agreement. The plan for SORNA sustainability is worth 5% of the overall score. In this section, you should discuss how the proposed project will reduce the jurisdiction's long-term costs in registry operation and maintenance, how the program will continue to operate beyond the grant award period, and if personnel costs are supported by grant funds, include how these positions will be maintained beyond the grant award period. Next is the other required items. This is worth 5% of the overall score. These include items like the project abstract, the project timeline, and the position descriptions and resumes. If applicable, MOUs, indirect cost agreements, and tribal resolutions are also required items. For counties applying under Purpose Area 2, a letter of support from the state registering agency is one of the other required items. When including subawards and procurement contracts as projected costs for your project, please make sure to reference OJP resources regarding subawards and procurement contracts. When possible, please identify the anticipated vendors or subawardees and know that if awarded, the applicant will have to confirm actual selected vendors for subrecipients or procurement contracts before any work will be able to begin. When attaching the elements of your application, be sure to make use of the application checklist in the solicitation to make sure that you have all of the required documents. Use clear, descriptive file names for your attached documents. This is the way that our peer reviewers and our federal staff will be able to locate the elements of your application. Also, double-check the profile under which you're submitting the application. Confirm the legal name, address, and the name of the authorized representative for your agency, the DUNS number, and all of those crucial elements of your profile. This information populates the standard Form 424 and must match the legal name of your agency as registered with SAM.gov. Any items not included in the application will delay processing if awarded and may delay access to funds post-award. Additional attachments specific to this solicitation include the position descriptions or resumes for key personnel, a timeline, and if applicable, a current indirect cost agreement, a current tribal authorizing resolution, documentation of anticipated benefit to the federally designated qualified opportunity zone, and documentation of rule challenges. Generally, allowable activities and costs under AWA include personnel, fringe benefits, and equipment. DOJ defines equipment as items with a per unit value over $5,000, and there's a number of examples of frequently purchased items under equipment. Supplies are also allowable. The items are listed here. DOJ typically defines supplies as items with a per unit cost less than $5,000 and a life expectancy of less than 3 years. When proposing the purchase of IT equipment like computers, printers, and scanners, please limit those to SORNA staff only and limit to not more than every 3 years. SMART is asking all applicants to include travel and lodging expenses for at least one person to travel to participate in SMART-sponsored training events or conferences in the future. It is expected that this meeting or conference would be for a minimum of 3 days and 2 nights for at least one representative from the program. A maximum of 3 participants may be budgeted. All proposed travel costs must align with GSA travel guidelines. Here are other examples of allowable travel expenses. Additional costs and activities that may be allowable include subawards for other entities that are responsible for the jurisdiction's SORNA-related activities, contracts for materials or professional services with justification. Any contract or subaward must use established agency guidelines for competitive procurement processes, and you must follow the guidelines in the DOJ Financial Guide for limits on sole source vendors and daily rates for consultants. Other generally allowable activities and costs include things like rental space, software, utilities, officer identification and visibility materials, and conference registration fees. The following items are unallowable activities and costs and should not be included in your proposed budget. These include construction, food and beverage, conference giveaways, gift cards, prepaid cell phones and phone cards, stipends, fuel, vehicle maintenance, and vehicle insurance. All applications must be submitted through grants.gov. Please be sure to register with grants.gov several weeks in advance. This gives you the opportunity to make sure that there are no issues with your profile. Again, please use the solicitation checklist to verify that you have all required elements of the application and submit your full application package 72 hours before the application due date. You can find all of the standard forms available on OJP's website, and again, please note the application deadline of March 24th. When you go on to grants.gov, you'll be searching for the AWA opportunity number SMART-2020-17430. After that, be sure to select the correct competition ID for either Purpose Area 1 or Purpose Area 2.
Here is a list of resources and tools available to all registration jurisdictions. SMART.gov is the SMART Office's official website and includes several tools to assist jurisdictions in their efforts to implement SORNA, including a checklist and the other items listed here. The Drew Shadeen National Sex Offender Public Website, or nsopw.gov, is a public website that enables the public to simultaneously search all registration jurisdictions' public registry websites. The SORNA Exchange Portal is a web-based tool that the SMART Office created. The portal facilitates various communications between registration jurisdictions, most notably notifications between jurisdictions regarding sex offender relocation. The Sex Offender Registry Tool, or SORT, provides the local registration agencies with their own specialized public sex offender registry websites and can function as the state-level administrative registry system. The Sex Offender Management, Assessment, and Planning Initiative, or SOMAPI, is a large-scale project designed to assess the state of research and practice in sex offender management. There are also many resources and tools that our office has designed specifically for the tribal jurisdictions. The Tribe and Territory Sex Offender Registry System, or TSORS, is the tribal counterpart to SORT, functioning as the jurisdiction-level registry system. The Tribal Access Program is a Department of Justice program that supports tribes in analyzing their needs for national crime information, and it helps to provide appropriate solutions, including a biometric biographic computer workstation with capabilities to process finger and palm prints, taking mugshots and submitting records to national databases, and accessing CJIS systems such as NSOR for criminal and civil purposes. The Native American Sex Offender Management Project, or NASOM, seeks to identify and develop existing resources for the treatment, management, and re-entry of American Indian and Alaska Native adult and juvenile sex offenders who are returning to tribal lands. The Model Tribal Code assists tribes in developing or updating existing sex offender registration legislation to meet SORNA requirements. The Guide on SORNA Implementation in Indian Country provides registry personnel with information needed to assist in efforts towards implementing SORNA. SORNA tribal training and technical assistance is also available to assist tribes in these efforts. If you have specific solicitation questions, please reference the contact information in the solicitation. For general questions, please contact us at the information provided here. Thank you very much.